What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. My name is Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon. I have the face.
You do, the titular face. Uh, man, it's been like only a week since we talked, but there has been a lot going on in the music world, and we have a lot of new music to talk about. But you've also been to a few shows since we last updated people. So you went to Static Dress and Initiate a couple weeks ago at that record store we were talking about on the podcast. How
Sure
did that
did.
show turn out for you?
That show was really cool. Love that. Love the venue. It was really intense. A lot of kids moshing. Met like a 19-year-old straight edge kid. Refused all the cigarettes that were offered to him, which was nice. Um, and yeah, I actually ended up meeting I actually ended up meeting somebody, and so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
I had actually heard this Lorna Shore song that we're about to review
Yes.
prior to it dropping on Friday.
Yeah, we will get into that later. It looked like from the videos you sent me and that I posted on the Brandon's Face Instagram for anybody following that. It looked like there was no stage. Is it one of those types of
The
deals?
stage was approximately 8 inches high.
So it's the office meme of this is
Correct.
the stage. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. That sounds like an incredible place to see Static Dress. I was pretty blown away by the audio clips from Initiate you sent me. They sounded like they rip.
Yo, Initiate fucking kills, man. I am a fan of that band now.
Yeah, we will definitely be having to cover some more of them going forward. Also saw James Taylor, I believe, shortly after that. How
I
was that
did.
one?
I did. That was actually that dude has nothing but bangers, man. Every single track he pulled out was incredible. That guy's a great performer. It was a good time. It was I think my second time at the Acrisure Arena down here in Palm Desert,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was really cool. My buddy Christian treated me to that show, which was nice.
That's
And then
awesome.
the next day after James Taylor, I went and saw a podcast mainstay between the Buried and Me
You
with
did.
Protest the Hero opening. Got to see them crank out Coma Ecliptic and then follow that up with their first ever full album playthrough of Alaska, which was oh my God fucking cool.
Yeah, you sent me some videos, and even in short form, it was overwhelming. So I can only imagine what that was like to experience live. They're just one of those bands where you know when you're listening to their albums that none of that is trickery, that all of their talent will translate live. I'm so glad to hear like Alaska Live is everything you thought it would be.
Bro, and like obviously I've been a fan of that album since what, fucking 2005, right? So oh my
Hmm.
God, is that 20 years? Ah, um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, obviously I'm familiar with it and I love it. And those songs took brand new shape live. And Tommy is a beast on vocals and keys. Blake Richardson is probably one of my favorite drummers, man.
Yep.
If Danny Carey wasn't alive, I think he might be my like one of the best drummers on the planet right now. That dude
Oh,
fucking
for
rips.
sure. For sure. What's left now? You got to see Colors 1 and 2 live?
Yep, have not seen those. So the next Colors tour, I'm very excited for. Honestly, I would go for an Automata and a Parallax playthrough. You know what I mean? Like I think they could combine those four EPs and do a whole tour on those as well. Although they're not very popular, but I'm an Automata fan. You listen to Blot once and you just become a fan. You know what I mean?
Well said, man. You put it out into the earth now, so hopefully that comes back around, man.
We'll see,
Um,
man. I was hoping for a Coma tour, and that's what I got. So.
dude, it provides. It provides. Any other shows you got coming up?
No, man, I need to well, I yes, not anytime soon. July 26th, I believe I have the possibility of going to two shows on that day. I have
Yep.
tickets for Gogol Bordello, but I might go to Warp Tour, so we'll see.
Oh man, we will be talking about Warp Tour a lot more as the summer rolls on. It's feeling Warp Toury right now with all the like pop
Right?
punk releases in the air. But let's get into the music this week, man. We have a lot to talk about before we get into the pop punk realm of things.
Let's do
Let's
it.
kick things off with some dance music, man. Not one, but two new songs from Max Styler, Need You Tonight and Let Go, both of which are bangers. Need You Tonight being my favorite of the two. What did you think of these?
Big fan of rave stabs there, are you, John?
I
Yeah,
am.
that track's gonna get everybody going at every single summer club or festival that it's dropped at. Let Go has that like acid house sound hits so good. Great
Yeah.
job, Max.
You have been next to me while seeing Boys Noise live. You know I love rave stabs,
Yeah,
Brandon.
this is true. This is true.
Although when he's on stage, I don't think you or I are even aware that each other are near each other. It's another thing, man.
I'm pretty sure some girls or some people were like, "Oh man, you're going hard at that time in at the Mayan." I was like, "Fuck yeah, bro! Boys Noise is on. Put your drink down.
I
Headbang."
love that so many videos from that show are on YouTube. Boys Noise, The Mayan, like 2017, 18, something like that. Look it up if you're interested. Really sick show.
Great set.
Holds up. New one from Lee Foss and Roddy Lima. What'd you think of this one?
Oh man, I love Lee Foss bass lines, and this is no exception. This is a great track, man. I really liked this one.
Yeah, man, really fun house track, great bass line, good vocals too by Roddy Lima. I liked
Oh
that
yeah.
layer of it. I wanted a little more of them, I think, at times, but really good song.
Yep.
Let's talk about it, man. Gareth Emery, Coheed and Cambria. I guess this was an ID in his set. It has come out. I don't know how many people were aware that Coheed had provided the vocals for it, but once you hear it, how could you not? This was very unexpected, but it works so well, man. I love this one. What about you?
I think if there's a Venn diagram of Gareth Emery fans and Coheed fans, the intersecting circles are so small you need
Yeah.
like a micron microscope to like
It's our
to
podcast
see it.
listener base.
Yeah, I mean that's seven. I think we have 82 followers. Good job, guys. Yeah, this is hardly a feature if he's kind of just like sampling Claudio's vocals, but my God, man, classic euphoric Emery always hits the spot. Great to see Claudio kind of branching out here. I actually think his voice worked really well for this style of music. So, Armin, hit Coheed up. Let's go.
It works incredibly well, man. So like it's almost sampled in a very like Eric Pride's Call on Me way in this
Yep.
song, which I think just is so good and works so well. I didn't know Gareth was releasing music under the Laser City moniker, which isn't a moniker, it's just a series of live shows that he does slash did. I think I saw a post recently about how he's gonna probably not be doing these for quite some time because a lot of work goes into them, and I think he's been doing it for a few years now. So if this is like one of the notes that he's going to end this era of Laser City on, I think it's very fitting. Great song.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it.
Me either. New one from Axwell and Karma, Until the Lights Go Out. I think it's a good song, but is it too close to Turn Off the Lights by Fred again and Swedish House? Like it sounds way too close in theme and in sound, honestly.
Turning lights off. So hot over the last couple of years, man.
Yeah, man. It's a
No, you're right.
good
You're
song
right.
though.
This is no doubt a banger, though. I mean,
Yeah.
classic Axwell. It's a banger, obviously, but yeah, no, you're totally right. It's just actually, fuck it. We should have just thrown the Fred again song on again.
Oh, shut up. We should. Where is that guy? He's cooking something up, I feel like.
JPEG Mafia is calling him
Oh,
instead of working with
Jesus.
Flume.
Would listen. All right, man. We got the Orbital remix of End Song off that last Cure album. I think I can say wholeheartedly this surpasses the original for me. Great remix by Orbital. What did you think?
You know I had to throw this on, bro. I saw this
Yeah, I
come
know.
up and I was like, "Oh my fucking what?" Yeah, I love The Cure. I love Orbital. I'm glad they did this. It's ethereal as hell. The way
Hmm.
they made this build is just incredible. And I think you're right. End Song is a great song. And
Yeah.
for fans of dance music, go listen to the original. But my God, this is better.
I agree. I agree with you on both counts. All right, new one from Amelie Lenz, Serenity. It is Amelie Lenz doing Amelie Lenz things, dude. Very, very my brand of techno. I'm a big fan of the booms on this one, man. Great song. What did you think about it?
This is okay, man. It's not my favorite Amelie track
Fair.
or Emily, however
I
it's
think
pronounced. It's probably
sure.
one of those. It's probably neither of those, if we're being honest. If to me, if you're gonna bleep and bloop, at least make the bleeps and the bloops a little more interesting than this.
That's why I'm saying the booms are more important than the bleeps and the boops on this one. But I will agree that the main synth line is primitive, but we cover a
Spoken by
lot
a
of
true
minimal.
house head.
Hey man, leave that out of it. All right, man. New one from Mala called Suspect. I mean this in the best way. It sounds like a Mala track, which is all you want it to do when you hit play on one of his songs. What did you think of this one?
We just gotta assume that Mala is constantly rocking black Air Force Ones. I mean,
Yep.
like to bed, to work, on the
Sleeping in the
decks,
mask.
just brushing his teeth. You know, he's rocking the black Air Force Ones. He's got to have like 13 like completely dead stock pairs. You know what I mean?
Oh man, well said. Good track though. I liked it. Uh, dude, new one from Clooney. Jesus Christ. This one's called X-Rated. I heard him preview it a little bit on social media in the lead up, but it's not until I heard the thing in full that it really hit for me. You sent me, we don't really talk about songs like off of the podcast much. Our one way around that is to like screenshot what we're listening to or just text the artist's name to indicate our admiration of whatever it is we're listening to. And I got the Clooney text a little bit after adding this, so I imagine that you were quite a fan.
Yeah, man, it was like my seventh time listening to it, and I'm pretty sure it was Friday. So, yeah, man, so funky, dude. Clooney kills this, bro. You have officially made me like a gigantic Clooney fan. So,
I will admit when Sippin' Yak was coming out, I was like, this is gonna be a big song. I think he's gonna be big. I mean, he was already pretty big. It's not like I foretold anything. This trajectory was always kind of there, but how big he's really getting and how well his songs are doing is kind of even blowing me away. But I think it's awesome, man. I think he's very deserving, and I think his hip hop forward version of house is just fun. I think it mixes the EDM clubs and the more like hip hop clubs, and those sounds just fuse together in a way that everybody kind of wants to be at the party at, you know? And good for him.
I totally agree with literally everything that you just said. He has this, like you said, hip hop forward. In fact, I was when the track came on, I was like, is Del the funky Homo sapien right now? Like,
Right? Yeah, very like he's clearly a student of multiple genres through multiple decades. I knew when
yep.
I saw the guy wearing a long sleeve under a t-shirt in like Brazil last year during summer that he was built different, man. So shout out
Cla-
Clooney.
Classic 2006 coded I like music outfit. You know what I mean?
My guy. Uh New one from LPGOB and Mascolo called Loud Enough. It's another LPGOB piano house gem. I really like it, particularly the piano parts. Big surprise. What did you think about this one?
Your notes were enough. I love it.
Perfect. New one from No Worries, Anderson Paak and Knowledge. This one is, I think, just a Lucy. They haven't announced a new project to follow up Wylod from last year, or was that the year before? I don't even remember anymore. But
Something like that.
I thought this was a good one. It's a good track, very smooth sounding, a little forgettable though. I didn't find myself going back to it on its own. What about you?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I didn't necessarily click on it anytime I opened up the playlist, but I did actually really like this, and it's dancier than a lot of their other tracks. But I just wanted Anderson's voice on this sounds like insane. Like it's different and it like really good. So
Yeah, yeah, no, he's become just an all-around threat, man. Musician, singer, rapper, all of them. He's exceeding at it. He's always been great at all of those things, but he's even better at them now than he was, and it never gets less impressive.
man, super agree.
All right, let's have the SG Lewis conversation. New one called Back of My Mind. I like it. It's different though, and you're gonna know what I mean by this. Is he going Porter?
So yes, I think that he might be doing a modified Porter situation here, but I really loved this track, man. Fantastic use of our arpeggios,
Mhm.
great atmosphere building. I think I like this better than the majority of the tracks on his last record, which I liked, but this is really fucking neat. I hope we have a new record incoming from him, and I hope it's all this.
I
Let's
think
go.
he's done vocals for songs before too, but this is like more singing, using more of a natural chest voice at times.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting the more is he going Porter thing. This is still very much dance, like you said, his own way of doing it, but so different than his last two albums that I'm curious to see where it's going, or if it's just kind of a this is a song I made and I just wanted to get it out there thing.
Yeah, man, we'll see.
New one from Lola Young called One Thing. She played this one at Coachella. She's been teasing this one with like a marketing campaign with phone numbers and shit for the past few weeks. I'm happy it's finally out because like I called the number, I heard the audio clip, and I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a fucking hit. And now that it's out, can confirm. Uh, I don't think it's really hit yet, but I think with summer on the horizon, I don't expect it to get this big. But I think this could be like her espresso. It's one of those songs that has that potential for me at least. What about you? What do you think?
Do you really think she's going to pay that much money to have it be the next espresso? We've
Hey,
gotten
the
like
the case got thrown out of court. Drake couldn't prove that's real.
sure, Jan. All right, so we've gotten like an unusually large amount of horny pop music this year, but
Yeah.
I'm absolutely here for it. She has such a way with catchy music, man. I fucking love this song. You already knew that.
And this is one of her horniest to date by far. I think that's maybe the only thing slightly limiting it is it's not really radio friendly. It could be made radio friendly, and I'm sure it has been already, but we'll see how it translates.
It's
Great song
Sirius
regardless.
XM ready or
Yeah,
whatever.
true. That's all you need in 2025 is just to be on Sirius
Right,
XM.
right.
New one from XG called Million Places. Admittedly, not my favorite track of theirs, although I love them. It's got more of like a kind of like 90s TLC vibe. Lyrics are very clearly inspired by their first world tour, seeing different places in the world. It's a cheesy pop song. They have great voices. It's just a little too slow for me. What did you think about it?
I mean, this obviously like sounds great. The production quality on all of XG's
Mm-hmm.
music is always top notch. This song is all right, bro. I don't really connect with it very much because I don't. I'm not wildly rich, so I don't travel across the world. But I think everyone sounds good.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the only reason it's slightly surprising is this is the only time we've ever been underwhelmed by an XG song on the podcast. They're usually A plus all the time. But I think if this is them at their like, here's a Lucy, still pretty high ceiling, man.
Yeah,
All right, man. New one from AZ Chike, Game Time. Dear God. We heard him on Peekaboo on GNX with Kendrick Lamar. I hit
that's where I
follow
heard
just
him.
because I was like, I like the dude's flow. This shit blew me away. It's one of the best rap songs of the year, and it's 97 seconds. I've listened to this shit so many times, dude. I just put it on repeat when I need to get in the headspace before work or something.
That's so
Big fan
funny.
of this one, man. What
That's so
about
funny,
you?
bro. I did the same thing. Every time, honestly, it's a good, great driving rap song.
Yes. Yes.
I would throw it on repeat, and then I would be like, yeah, fuck it, let's, all right, throw it on, and then I'd say, oh, fuck it, might as well listen to that again. It's only a minute and a half. The beat is infectious. Dude's flow is great, like you said. Great song.
So good. He's also recently inserted himself into the Joey Badass versus everyone rap beef recently that has honestly in days gotten too sprawling to even cover in one podcast episode.
But
So
I sent you the playlist. I'll
you
post it in the
did.
show notes just for everybody to go listen to. But yeah, let's not. We don't have
You
time.
you do realize it's been updated like 12 times since you sent me it,
No,
right?
I know. That's why I'm saying we don't have time, man.
No, there's not enough time in the year for that right now. I love it though. I love it.
Yeah,
All right,
man.
man. Switching gears a little bit. New one from King Gizzard, Grow Wings and Fly. You've been a little more into this rollout than me. How are you liking this one?
I think this is fucking tight. I think you know that. Let's get high, John.
I'm down for the second part. I don't think the song's tight. I don't like it. I wish I did, man.
Hater.
I really wish I did. And there's a band we're gonna talk about later that I think is delivering the type of vibes that I'm always hoping King Gizzard does outside of their metal shit. So we'll get into that then. But next up we got a new one from Rocket, 1 million. I think I've only heard like two or three songs from this band in the short time I've been following them, like since last year sometime. All of them have been incredible, dude. I love their sound. I love their writing. This is another hit, man. What about you? What do you think of them slash this song?
Shoegazy, power chordy, female fronted bands. So hot right now. In all seriousness, you know that I love this sound, bro.
I
This is
know.
so Dosser coded, bro. This is great.
Yeah, very DOS coded. That's a great call, man. I didn't catch that. Got some metal songs on the playlist this week. New one
Yeah, we
from
do.
Born of Osiris Through Shadows. I haven't heard them in a while, but this song rips, man. Really liked it. What about you?
I think the last time we talked about them was their last record, I think 2022 or something like that, or
Yeah, like two,
2023
three
maybe.
years.
I've actually really liked their last couple of records. If this next one sounds like this, I'll love it as well, man. This is great, dude. Love the synth, love the softer vocal parts. This is great.
Yeah, dude, I agree. New one from Abigail Williams. We've gotten a lot of really good black metal this year. I think this
Right?
song is up there. I don't know about the best, but it's up there with my favorites of the songs we've heard in the genre so far. Really, really well done, man. I liked it. What about you?
So was this your first Abigail Williams track?
I was actually trying to look through the past music to see if that was the case, and I think it is because when I was going through the artist background, none of it sounded familiar to me.
So they have both an album and a demo EP that is not on Spotify from the early 2000s. That's where I discovered Abigail Williams. Been a real big fan of them. I think their last record was 2019, so we haven't talked about them on the podcast since we started in 2021 or
No.
something like that. And yeah, man, this track is fucking awesome. It's got that like it's got the black metal fucking blast beat, and then they fucking and kind of slow it down a
Yep.
little bit. You know what I mean? And then they
Yep.
they do the thing. Big fan of this band. Super fucking stoked for anything new. I'm assuming that there's a new record coming. I'll research that. But yeah, this is great. And you're right. We've gotten a lot of great black metal this year. Ghost Bath, right? We haven't even heard
Hmm.
any of the Black Braid singles, have we? So that's coming. Black Braid 3 is on the way. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Dude, yep. So much. We'll have to do a whole black metal retrospective when it gets to the end of the year.
Oh
Uh,
man, we're gonna have to invite Christian for that one, but we'll do that.
Down, down. All right, man. New one from Cryptopsy called Malicious Needs. My notes just say music to get a speeding ticket too. I'm gonna stand by that, dude. I really liked this one. What did you think about it?
You know what's funny, man, is neither of us like really loved their last record. I liked it, but you
That
know,
was okay. Yeah.
they have a like a very seminal release in brutal death metal from forever ago, but actually they got a little deathcore on this one, dude, with the fucking breakdown. And just gonna be real honest right now. I hope they continue on that path. The varied vocals are really
Yeah.
good. It suits them very well. I like this track a lot, dude. This is one of my favorite modern Cryptopsy tracks in like a long time, bro.
I agree with you on all accounts. One more single to talk about this week. It's that new one from Lorna Shore called Oblivion you were talking about in our intro piece, man. Talk to me about it.
So I don't want to give away this dude's name or whatever, but I met a dude and he was like, I've heard the Lorna Shore album. He has they were like, hey, he was like, hey, this album's done. I want to see if you recognize it. Almost like testing my metal knowledge, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so he opened up his Dropbox app on his phone and played this song. And obviously I recognized Will Ramos's vocals. I was like, this Will Ramos, this is Lorna Shore. He was like, oh yeah, man. And I was like, is the album done? He was like, yeah, man. And this was weeks ago, obviously. So I'm stoked to hear the song again. My notes only say, ugh.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. They've never really like been my thing. I did not love the last time we chatted about them or their album, I don't think. But in the time since, I think that they've grown on me a lot. There's a lot of crazy shit going on in this song that I really, really like, even before I get into the vocals. But his vocals have grown on me in some time since. And I thought this song was good. I think especially on the heels of like Sleep Token fucking wasting my time for 8 minutes. I appreciate it when a band like this is at least doing something with the fucking time. So thank you, Lorna Shore. I really liked
Oh,
this one.
I love you, bro. All right, so the last album, Pain Remains. I really liked that 3 track suite, Pain Remains 1 through 3. I actually remember giving that album an 8 because I thought it deserved it from a
Yeah, you
like an
really liked it.
objective point of view. I have not gone back to it very much, if any, since we reviewed it, which, to me means that I didn't, I don't crave it. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
this album, I fucking I hate the drumming. Can I just say I hate the drumming? The triple bass triggers on the fucking kick drum.
Yeah.
Bro, just use double bass, man. It'll still work. Just bring it down a fucking 16th note. You know what I mean? Like it'll be fine. It doesn't need to be like a fucking like a West Side Gun sample. You know what I mean? Like
This is just how Lars Ulrich sounds to double bass drummers. Yeah.
Oh, any chance I get to shit on Lars is a good day. Lars, you
I'll always give you
suck.
that chance. I'll always give you that chance. Oh man, Master of Puppets kind of rips though. All right, man, let's get into the
We're
EPs.
not doing that on this podcast, John.
All right. We got a new one from La Dispute. The EP is called I or One. I'm not sure. I think it's I. This is a much needed return to form or return to the band I fell in love with like 10 plus years ago when they did Rooms of the House in the mid 2010s and made their pivot towards a softer overall sound while still kind of blending the harsher elements when earned, I guess, via the song. It worked in a way for me that I think solidified that era as something I love. But as time went on, I felt like they kept softening the edges more and more to where that album they put out in like 2019, 2020. I just like it was fine on its own, but it was almost unrecognizable from the band that, had what was the first album called? Somewhere at the Bottom of the River.
Yep.
It didn't connect for me anymore. And I've loved this band for a long time. I've seen them live. They are a great band. To hear them actually sound angry again about stuff just puts a smile on my face. I really, really thought this EP was a much needed thing for them and for their fans, man. What did you think about these new songs?
I am a gigantic fucking fan of this EP, bro. La Dispute pulled out the, hey, you know what? Why don't we like combine Quicksand and Refused together and then do that? And that's gonna speak directly to my fucking heart.
Yep.
Inject this EP into my veins like 1,000 times. Yeah. Crush it up. Let's do a line. Like my God, man, this album is fucking great. This EP is great. I think you're right. I think it's a great return to form. I think they tried to do the Thrice thing. Thrice kind of found their niche and their sound even in the softer stuff. But I think Loud Dispute, this is it's just so passionate, dude. The vocals being as passionate as they are, like you said, took me back to the mid 2010s, and I'm like, oh God, let's go. This was on repeat all fucking week, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very good shit, man. And I think that part of it is just due to the content. They even by emo or whatever scene standards you want to say, they write some of the saddest shit. Like the topics they sing about on some of these albums are just in very intense. Like uh God, what's the why am I blanking on the rapper's name that would always go into the long diatribes in much detail? But dude, it's just it's very it's not surprising that they went the direction they went for the albums they did, considering they've more focused on trauma and grief as themes. But it's nice to have a little bit of the angst back, and I'm glad you and I are on the same page on this.
100%. Do
Oh,
this forever, Loud Dispute.
yes. All right, man. Talk to me about Mugshot.
So obviously I was browsing some Pure Noise releases and heard this one, and my God, the bass lines on this one, dude, are so good, dude. Some Madball worship with like a dash of Every Time I Die in the riffs. I liked this one a lot, man. It's just tough guy hardcore, and sometimes you got to feel like a tough guy. You know what I mean?
Of course, man. I don't know if we'd really talked about this band before, but
We
I
have not.
absolutely loved this EP, dude. I thought the whole thing ripped. Big fan, hit follow pretty fast.
Yep.
I liked it, man.
Good.
Um, one more EP to talk about this week from Minimum Syndicate called Revelation. Talk to me about this one.
My notes just say, yeah, buddy, but you know, it's one of those things, dude. It's really it's two tracks with two remixes of those tracks, both remixes being acid. What I love about this is that it's not four on the floor, but it's still very, very, very much techno. And I really like this one, man. I wanted to throw it on, released on Zodiac Commune Records, which we've never talked about before, but I
No.
was a big fan of it when it released.
I dug it as well, dude. I like both versions of both songs. I think I just
Right.
wanted more songs.
Right.
But I dig
Right.
this. I really liked it. Are you ready to move on to the albums?
So ready. Let's
Dude,
go.
let's do it, man. First up, we got the new one from Aminé, 13 Months of Sunshine. I will just dive right in. I
Please.
I was a little hesitant during the rollout because Limbo is one of my favorite albums, not just my favorite Amine album, but one of my favorite albums. One of the albums people probably associate with my personality if you've known me over the last 5 or so years.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
he has put out projects since then, but this is his third studio album and not the follow-up to Limbo, but I guess more so the successor to it. And I wasn't expecting it to be exactly the same. The singles were fun. I think in retrospect now I can say they're all great. But there's a level of like even in his lighthearted, fun pop rap way, that he's always had of peppering in these like introspective and personal moments in his lyrics that I was afraid was going to get lost in the more light and party feeling vibe that I was getting from the singles. And I think
It's
that
myth,
like
man.
yeah, I mean, yes. I say all of this to say for the most part I was wrong. This album is so fun. I think it is the ray of sunshine and the indicator of summer that we very much needed. It's one of those albums that if you're not going into it with expectations at all, and especially if you're into this type of music even relatively, I think you're going to have a good time with it no matter what level of enjoyment you get out of it. It's an album that does have a shocking amount of depth for the style that it is. And for that, I'm really, really happy. But the pillars of the album do remain kind of the dumb fun songs, which he's just made a name for. The singles were obvious. Vacay, Familiar, and Arc de Triomphe all hold up. I think Feel So Good feels like the natural next single. Very light, very fun, very bouncy. But the songs where he digs a little deeper are the ones that I find myself hitting play on just as much, if not more than those. The intro track, which he has a line, I think, on 1.5 about how he's always going to use his intro tracks to kind of catch up with the fans about what's gone on in the time since. This one maybe feels the least like that, but the more I listen to it, the more it does feel slightly more personal than the rest. Still has some of his trademark bars that make me laugh. I think the first three songs of this album flow great. From there, I think it's you, Cool About It, and History, but he's going into more of a sing style that I think is still growing on me. Definitely a fan of it. I think his voice sounds good, but it's not always the type of song that I'm going to Amine for. But I like that he's touching on more vulnerable topics while using, I guess, a more vulnerable side of his voice. And this provides one of the most unexpected credits I've ever seen on an Amine album, which is a hello goodbye credit. Uh, for Here in Your Arms. I never thought I would see Forrest Klein credited as a writer on an Amine album, but
Right.
that's really fucking cool. I think once we get through that three-song run where he kind of slows things down, intentionally so for the album's sake, he kicks things off once again with the two singles, Vacay and Familiar, right in the middle, that just pick things back up. Doing the Best I Can is one of it. I like it, but it feels like an album cut song. Temptations is a banger. Be Easier on Yourself, another one that I'd kind of consider an album cut. Raspberry Kisses grows on me with every listen. It's really the abbreviated title track that I think is the most substantial and the most replayable on the album, with a beat switch that completely changes the vibe, which I feel like a lot of beat switches in rap now go from like one intense trap beat to a slightly different intense trap beat. And I like that these are two completely different types of songs that work really well together, and he gets to really show what he can do as a lyricist on this. I think it's great. The back three songs are all pretty solid. The Clo the God one's good. I think she's a was a natural feature for him, hearing her strengths on her last project.
Hmm.
Her sound fits really well with his. Arc de Triomphe is great. And I think the closer with 454, who I'm not too familiar with, and Toro y Moi, is a good closer. I think that this album was not something I needed to be as worried about as I was. It's a very fun rap album. If I'm being completely candid, though, I haven't really ranked it yet, but like, even if it's my least favorite Aminé project, it's still great. And I think that that's speaking to how great he is. That it's still my favorite rap album to come out this year by far. I'm going to be listening to this thing all the time. I just feel like he is one of those artists that even when not every song on an album is connecting with me, I still love him. I love his effort that he puts into all this. And I think he made another great album, man. What are your thoughts on this? Oh, sorry. I'm gonna give this one like 8.5. My standouts are All the Singles, Feel So Good, and 13 Months of Sunshine. What are your thoughts on this one, buddy?
Yeah, so you introduced me to Amine, so I want to thank you for that.
Of course.
I think that at least half of these tracks should be on literally every single person's summer playlist.
Yep.
Um, it'll all be, this entire album is going to be on mine. So this to me was clearly written while he was like out on vacation for the last year or so, celebrating the success of K Mine, and I think that he deserved that. But
Yep.
what really strikes me on this one though is the lyrical content. Uh, Filled with like obviously like vacation, resorts, sex, love, drugs, fun, but he actually does a thing that I think I always do, and I'm assuming a lot of people do on vacations is reflect about loved ones, personal relationships, work-life balance, and really just like the reprioritization of life, right? And all of this kind of reflects in the lyrics on this record. And I feel like even though I like can hear a lot of fun on this, I hear so much personal reflection and a lot
Hmm.
of growth. And I think that that's why humans kind of crave vacations, right? And I think that's why we end up really enjoying vacations, because we do have these personal growth moments, you know? And this really actually equates to a pretty mature record, which is neat that it's also like a ton of fun with like a bunch of danceable beats and like house adjacent tracks, right? But and I like this style on him far more than I liked Kaytranada on the production. And I needed to say that because I'm a Katra hater. But uh look, you know, I love the hello goodbye interpolation. When you texted me that, I was fucking tripping, bro. Uh I think you said so much, man, and I think you said you hit all of the notes. But 13 months has to be one of Amine's best flows on the album, maybe even one of his best flows to date.
Yeah.
It's like he's channeling this like Lil Wayne if he was born in Portland rather than rather than New Orleans. I love this whole album, dude. He killed it once again. I love to hear how deep and personal he gets on this one. High contender for hip hop album of the year for me. Funny, I'm rating it higher because I you introduced me to Limbo like years after it
Yep.
released.
Yep.
It's a 9 out of 10 for me, bro. 13
Fair.
months, easy standout for me.
Dude, I'm glad you like it that much. I don't think either of our scores are wrong. I feel like this is more of a you and me album than me. It has more of a
Fair.
Brandon feel to it, which I love about it, honestly. The only thing I didn't really get to touch on that I should is that all of the talking in between songs, that was his dad being unknowingly recorded while they were walking on the beach together. His dad did not find out about any of that until the album was released. So that's
Oh,
pretty
I love
cool now
that.
that
I,
that's
I
coming
love
out.
that.
Really nice touch and very fun to like think about when you're listening back to it now.
Yeah, remind me to never say anything to Amine ever.
He is not the fit. All right, man. We got a new album from BIBI. Eve Romance is the name of this one. It it is her second full-length album, and there is a lot of new songs, but I would say more than half of this is made up of like mostly singles that she put out over the past like 2 to 3 years. Not to say it's not great or cohesive, it is, but it is a weird experience when an album has songs that you were listening to 2 to 3 years ago, and not just one, like lots of songs that you've been listening to for years now, all kind of make their way into this project that you really didn't know was taking shape before your eyes, I guess. All of the singles that we've ever talked about on the podcast by her, I've raved about, so I won't re-rave about those. But of the new songs, man, fuck, Apocalypse kicks this one off in classic BB fashion. I I often don't know what she says, but the like one English word that she always chooses to say, she says in a way that just gets stuck in my head. Like I kept saying the like look at your apple part all fucking week. I don't know why. It was just in my head. We get some like more R&B and like I don't want to say jazzy just because they're saxophone, but like we get some more of that vibe on tracks like Meat. Pigma Girl and Scott and Zelda are both really, really good. Midnight Cruise has her kind of going into like a city pop type vibe. I almost makes me want to hear her with like Ginger Root or something. Uh, I I love this album because I love her music. It's confusing as an album to me still. I'm still coming to terms with that, but I don't think there's a song on here I don't like or that I'd ever skip. So I'm gonna say another solid 8 out of 10 for me. I I'm just gonna go new songs stand out. I'll say Apocalypse and Meat are my two standouts. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and say jazzy because there are much more jazz moments than just the
There
saxophone
is,
part.
yes. Thank you.
So I was pretty apprehensive that I would like this one but by the time I got to that sax solo on me, you know that I was sold.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite parts of this record are not the dancier parts, but they are the jazzier parts. The jazzier sax and the bass line on Real Men or Real Man, the percussion on Pigma Girl, and like that R&B Hang Gang Gong Wong are also
Yep.
just extremely up my fucking alley, bro. It's insane. Her voice sounds great on every moment of this, and clearly the production value is insane. I don't have too much to say about this one. I
Yeah.
would have actually liked a little bit more like improvisational, like jazz piano on this, because I actually think her vocals would complement that quite
Mm-hmm.
a bit. If she just did actual fucking jazz, I think it'd be a 10. This is a 7 for me. Meat's gonna be my standout.
Dude, I would fucking lose it if she did a full jazz album.
Let's
That would
go.
be awesome. I'm
Let's
glad you
go.
enjoyed this one, man.
I did.
Okay, let's talk Rico Nasty's new album, Lethal. I've always been a casual fan of Rico. I really liked her 2020 album, Nightmare Vacation. That remains my favorite project of hers to date. I think some of these singles were released on Fueled by Ramen, but the album as a whole looks like it was released on Atlantic. None of that really matters. Although it does kind of play into moments of this album. I think for the most part, the whole front half of this album has a slightly different, like punkier twist on her kind of rage pop rap thing that she's always done. It's not even pop rap, just like rage rap that she's kind of done with these like rock infused instrumentals. I wasn't really feeling the singles too much when we talked about them, and they haven't grown on me much since. But I do think her sound as a whole has like an appeal to it the more you just listen to it you get in that headset. But I think when it kind of just gets into like the flow of a normal Rico album and I'm having fun with it, it does make more of a turn to like kind of a shitty pop rock record around the song like it gets like Kenny Hoopla-ish in a way that I don't think benefits it. And even having a song called Smoke Break that was like the same song he had, very similar style too. Like it made me mentally lump them in together, which is like fine, but it's just like insincere pop punk done by somebody who is much better at doing other things, I guess. Outside of those moments, I thought the album was pretty good, man. I would say like a high six, low seven. My standout is going to be on the low. I thought that song was so fun, but Soul Snatcher was pretty solid too. What did you think of this project? Been dying to know your thoughts on it.
I don't sound like nobody. All these bitches sound like me.
Great line.
Those are my
Great line.
thoughts. No, man, she has some decent range. I did not connect Kenny Hoopla with Smoke Break, but now that you say it, I'm like, oh shit. I actually really kind of liked that song, and I liked some of the punkier moments on this one, if I'm being
Which is
real.
fair.
But I think you're right. I think that front half of the album is more her rather than that second half of the album, which kind of starts at Son of a Gun, which is way more of like a rage track, and then it kind of takes like a wild turn. Here's what I'll say, dude. There's not a lot of rappers, and there's not a lot of female rappers that A can B would do something like this. And
Yep.
I gotta sit here and give her flowers for doing something like this on the back half of a Rage album, and just actually
Fair.
putting a track like Smoke Break where there's like guitars and her screaming, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Soul Snatcher's the best album, the best track on the album. It's also a six for
Soul
me.
Snatcher's good.
Yeah, that's it. I actually really liked her range on this one though.
I think the range is a good note, and I think what you're saying is fair. There's not a lot of people that can do this, and I think she gets credit for doing it as fucking gung ho as she does. This girl does not half-ass anything. She goes full steam into everything, and that's apparent on every song on here. Most definitely on Soul Snatcher, which I'm glad you and I both agree is kind of the highlight of this one.
Yep.
All right, man. Let's talk about my album of the week, dude. It's this new one from Spill Tab called Angie. I was late to the party on this artist, girl band. I'm not entirely sure what the full deal is here. But I found their song Aces, I think earlier this year, went back and heard Angie. We talked about the song Hold Me like 1 or 2 weeks ago on the podcast. And I said at the time, like, this is a very good song, kind of Claro adjacent, but I was excited for you to hear the other stuff where they get like these kind of more instrumental and expansive bridges and all of that. And I am excited to get your thoughts on all of that. But just the way this album came together even surpassed my high expectations for it, man. I think that this is a no skips album. I think it is nearly perfect, dude. It just has one of those sounds that I connect with on so many levels. And it's almost like got a chameleon like quality to it. There's times where you're like, am I listening to Billie Eilish? Am I listening to like a shoegaze band? Am I and it's also like distinct and so well done. I don't know, man. I really don't have much more to say about it than that. I just love everything about this album. It deserves all of the flowers that it's getting on this podcast and should be getting elsewhere, man. I think all of the singles are great. My standouts, I'm gonna go Athlete as my standout. That's the one I was listening to the most this week, but I'll go solid nine on it for now. What are your thoughts on it though?
Hey man, I'm glad you like this one a lot. I loved a lot of the jazz influence on this record because there's a little bit of it. Um, and this is one that I wasn't terribly familiar with. Like you said, we only covered the one single.
Mhm.
Um, but sitting down and starting the album, uh, in fact, you would texted me, "Don't skip on this Spill Tab record,"
Yep.
and that always like piques my interest, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's check it out, man." This is like really good pop record, man. I'm gonna call it pop because it has
That's
so
fair.
much in there, but it's hard because it's much more
It's
of like an
indie pop.
amalgam, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like you said, am I listening to Billie Eilish? The vocals at parts are very whispery and very monotone, which is not my jam a lot.
Hmm.
But when I hear her actually doing the things on tracks like By Design, I
Yep.
fucking love it, dude. Lots of interesting instrumentals, engaging, flowery at parts, a little bit of jazz on some tracks. This was a really fun listen for me. I think Want Me is going to be my standout. I'm going to give it somewhere between a seven and an eight.
That's fair, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as you did. I knew you would like. I was just like really excited when hearing Aces and Angie, like those bridges. I was like, oh, Brandon's going to appreciate the fuck out of these
Oh
bridges.
yeah.
So I'm glad that you finally heard those. Glad you enjoyed the album as a whole too, man.
Yeah, man.
This is a new one for both of us. This is an artist that a old coworker of mine from like a few years back posted that she saw Sir Woman live, and I remember like in the clips being like, "Who the fuck is this? They sound great." I hit follow, never really thought about it again. Saw they released this new album. I figured I'd throw it on the playlist because it was not a slow week, but a week where we could easily get an album like this on. And man, I'm glad I did. It is, I don't have a ton to say about it, but it is like soulful and smooth and poppy at times. Like, I don't know, like Brittany Howard, but like maybe a little more dynamic in ways. I don't know much about the artist. I love the overall sound of this album. I think the cover art's great. Big fan of this one. Standout's kind of tough right now. I think it'd probably be Believe It or Not. That's the one I listen to the most, but there's a few on here that are excellent. What are your thoughts on this one, man? We have not talked about them yet.
We have not. This is an interesting record for me. It
Yeah.
feels like a much older album and not like really in a great way for me. There's some decent tracks here, like Love Song and like a Ghost are really good. And but I honestly had trouble staying engaged with the majority of this. Nothing is really like jumping out at me, and there's nothing terribly like bad about it, but nothing that like jumped out at me is super impressive. Besides some of the top-notch bass work on tracks like Can't Come Down and Never Gonna Give Me Up. I don't have much more to say about it. Somewhere between a 5 and a 6 for me. I'm Never Gonna Give Me Up is probably gonna be my standout.
So it's a jungle album, essentially. Got it. Heard. I think that's more than a fair take, man. It's a good album. They're clearly very talented, just not necessarily the sound you and I listen to a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, I know we both listen to this next one a lot, man. Talk to me about the new Psychedelic Porn Crumpets album, Carpe Diem Moonman.
Man, I actually have very minimal notes about this one because, well,
Same.
we've already reviewed a Psychedelic Porn Crumpets album before, and I just need to say this band is one of the most consistent bands out there. Heavy, melodic, psychedelic, absolutely chaotically unhinged, while still maintaining their ability for their music to still make sense. Fuck yes, it's a Porn Crumpets album. If this album was a tomato, I've clearly found God in it. 9 out of 10. The standout is the whole thing.
Dude, fuck yeah, man. I love those types of reviews. Mine's very similar, dude. Like we know who this band is and they deliver every time. This is the one I was talking about earlier where it's like King Gizzard does shit like this occasionally, but this is always like the type of just like freewheeling, we do not say no to a good idea type of writing that I really like. Add to that just the sound of the fucking guitars, the way that they compose songs, their song titles, the lyrics, all of it just fucking works. And is this the third album of theirs we've reviewed?
I believe it is.
And they've all been like an 8 at the least, but they're not even albums that are really about scores at this point. They're just albums you
Right.
can throw on. I love the amount of just pure shredding on this one. Like you said, man, it's a fantastic album. March On for Pax of Ramona has been my most
So
played on
good.
the album this week.
So good.
Something about the guitars on that one just get me every time. Excellent album, man. As always.
Excellent. Excellent.
All right. A band we've talked about a lot on the podcast, but I don't think we've talked about a full album of is Arm's Length. And now we have their new full length, man. So talk to me about it. What are your thoughts?
Oh boy. All right, man.
Dive in.
Man, this band deserves to be so much fucking bigger than they are. I texted you in
Quickly.
December when I saw them open for Silverstein that they were fucking incredible live, and they were probably done being openers after that. I think this album and the attention that they've been getting since has definitely proven that they've managed to make, in my opinion, a classic album with this one. Emo, there's a little bit of pop punk. There's some two-step, bringing emo back to its roots in hardcore, and some of the most emotion-pulling and heart-wrenching lyrics that have dropped since when was the last time the Wonder Years dropped an album? Dear God, man, this is a high contender for the rock album of the year for me. If we had an emo category, I would feel at this point that it would be incredibly difficult to be topped by any releases in that genre for the rest of the year. By the time you get to You Ominously End. I'm basically in tears every time this album plays through. And then they throw Early Onset at us, and it's like, fuck, bro. It's like almost like a hard listen, but you can't stop, right? It's like eating hot Cheetos. Your mouth is burning like crazy, but you're like, I need like eight more, nine more of those. The
Minimum.
strings killed me on Early Onset, bro. Haley even hits this like extremely close to home moment for me. And dude, this album has just been on fucking repeat. And if I'm being honest, bro, I can't find literally anything I dislike about it. So for that reason, and the fact that this album will be in my forever rotation, this is an easy 10 out of 10 for me, bro.
Fuck yeah, dude.
You Ominously End is just fuck.
Dude, welcome to the 10 Club for Brandon Arms Length. Holy shit, man. Yeah, I cannot disagree with anything you said. You really said like most of the things I was going to say. I even texted you the other day, like some version of like not fucking arm's
Yep.
length making me cry at like 10 a.m.
Yep.
Uh, what's funny, I don't even remember what song that was. That could be so many songs on
Right.
here. Like normally for a song to do that to me, I have to have such an intense like connection to whatever the lyric is or the way that it's sung. This
Nope. Throw a
dude
dart
just
at it.
writes in a way that like I'm sure it's personal, but it's so universal in the way that they deliver the message, man, and it hits for me. I knew when Funny Face was the lead single, I was like, this album is gonna be one of those ones, man. Up there with In Angles. They just
Yep.
have this X factor that you can't describe it because it is an X factor. It's an intangible that some bands just have, and they have it, dude. There is just no fat on this album. It is so well made. So they're not afraid to take any lyrical idea too far. They're not afraid to get a little heavy when they want to. It just all works, man. They have found their sound and they are if they haven't perfected it already, then they're damn fucking close, man. Like you said, I'm gonna stop a little short of a 10. I'm gonna say high 8, low 9. Funny Face is my standout, but this is very clearly album of the year material. Great album from Arm's Length that lives up in every way imaginable.
Huge fan. Huge fan.
Okay, man, you had a late addition to the playlist. I have some thoughts on it, but please talk to me about the Callous Daoboys new album.
I hope you can tell why I couldn't wait for a slower week on this one, bro.
I could.
Uh, that intro is so good and it sets the record up so nicely, man. It's a really fun listen front to back. Never a dull moment with this band, though, with lines like, I've never been so erect on a metalcore record. How could there be? They even throw some curveballs at us with that synthy, possibly sampled little ditty on Two-Headed Trout, and even the little acoustic and 90s inspired track Lemon, which is lyrically just as equally unhinged as every other track on the
Yep.
record, but
Yep.
it's like a super friendly vibe to it. I love the heavy parts. Love it when they pull back. I really enjoyed this
Agree.
one, man. I think my standout's probably going to be Douchebag Safari. That song takes like a number of left turns and
Hmm.
then all of a sudden goes right. It's an 8 out of 10 for me, man. I really like this one. This is gonna be on repeat for a minute. What'd you think?
I had no type of idea of what album you were adding, like metal, whatever. I assumed it was going to be metal. Never heard of this band before. Since you've added this, I've seen their name floating around quite a bit this week, specifically about some admiration for this album among some other friends I've talked to, and as well as just some online people, some forums I've seen. It deserves the flowers it's getting. It's so fun. This like it's reminiscent of MySpace era metalcore, but it is very modern in a lot of ways. I for you and anybody that knows me, they pretty much know the Oceans franchise is like my favorite movies. So when I heard Two-Headed Trout, I'm not sure if they're sampling the laser dance at the beginning of that or if they recreated it via instruments. Either way, I fucking love it. It hits every time I listen to it. That song is great. And that song back to back with what's probably actually my standout, Tears on Lambo Leather, one of the heavier songs on the album,
So good.
made this an easy follow for me. I fucking really like this. Are we calling this metalcore? Is this
Yeah.
metalcore?
I
Okay,
yeah. Yeah,
safely.
sure.
Well, yeah, like I mean, like you said, they pull it back so much at times. It's very reminiscent of like old I don't know, Word Alive meets like Every Time I Die meet like there's so much in there's of Mice and Men, like a lot of this reminded me of Austin Carlisle's type of scream. There's
A lot of
definitely a
Panic chords, like early
yes,
fucking
yes.
Norma Jean, you know, like
So yeah, man, obviously I like it. You said like all of those things are things that I like. This album is fucking rad. High seven, low eight. That two-song run of Two-Headed Trout and Tears on Lambo Leather is my standout. Great album.
so good, bro. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I like previewed it a second and I was like, oh, John's got to hear
Yep,
it.
yeah.
John's got to
You
hear
were
it.
right. You were right, man. Thank you. You were always right. All right, dude. That does it for us this week. We will be back and next time. We got new albums dropping pretty soon from Anima, Sophia Izella, Smurs, Love Spells, bunch of others. We will be back to talk about it. If you want to see everything we're going to be covering on the next episode before we cover it and listen for yourself, follow along with our weekly rotating playlist. You can find the link to that in the show notes. You can also find us on Instagram and Reddit. We pop up from time to time. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. We should be there. We will see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.